Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment continuing. The 2020 Sports Fan Entertainment NFL team profiles. And today we are talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. And the next time we'll be discussing the Washington football team. And that one is going to be very funny, just saying the Washington football team throughout the video. But the Philadelphia Eagles in 2019 had an okay season. I think Eagles fans were happy that they were able to win the NFC East, able to go to the playoffs and have a decent wild card game. You know, I know they lost by 8 points, but a decent wild card game against the Seahawks. I think a lot of them would take that, you know, considering where they were in the middle of the season, all the injuries that they had, especially on the offensive side of the football. But how will they perform in 2020? We're going to discuss that today. Looking at the 2019 statistics, though, how well did they do offensively? So, how about quarterback Carson Wentz? He stayed healthy. 16 games started and played for Carson Wentz, including the playoff game. All right, so this is what we needed to see from Carson Wentz, right? We needed to see him get through the season healthy again. He did it. We're still not sure about him long term in terms of his health, and that's why the Eagles got the quarterback that they did in the second round of the draft, who we're going to discuss momentarily. But he came down with 4,000 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a 93.1 passer rating. And you look at that touchdown to interception ratio, I mean, that should have been a 100-plus passer rating right there. But unfortunately, the completion percentage wasn't high enough, and especially the yards per attempt was not high enough when all he was doing was mainly throwing to Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert and Miles Sanders instead of his wide receivers, because Alshon Jeffrey went down, because Nelson Aguilar went down and had his inconsistency issues. We need to improve upon that in 2020 for the Philadelphia Eagles. But how about running back Miles Sanders? He had 818 rushing yards, and he had 500 receiving yards as well. Only 3 rushing touchdowns, right? Jordan Howard, I want to say, came down with 6. So you're going to want to see Miles Sanders step it up next year in terms of the rushing touchdowns. And then Zach Ertz, 88 catches, 916 yards. Definitely the most consistent weapon for Carson Wentz last season. So with that said, we look at the offseason. What were the arrivals? What were the departures for the Philadelphia Eagles this past offseason? We start with the departures, and there were a number of departures for the Eagles this offseason. More departures than arrivals, and this is something that is certainly going to hurt the team this upcoming season. The biggest one to me being safety Malcolm Jenkins. This guy has been one of the most consistent safeties in the NFL, especially at that strong safety position. This guy is an absolute blanket, able to cover the football field, able to save touchdowns in terms of not only the passing game but the rushing game as well. He will be missed. Ronald Darby never really got his footing in Philadelphia, right? Coming over from Buffalo, you had high expectations from him, so that was, a slight disappointment, but he'll still be missed. Halapuli, Vaitai, right? This guy has been the nice backup swing tackle for you, a guy that's been able to come in and start for you. We know Andre Dillard is going to be able to step up, or at least we hope so. He's going to be able to step up in his stead, but Vaitai will be missed. Jordan Howard in the rushing game, he'll be missed. Again, he had 6 rushing touchdowns last season. Darren Sproles didn't play much the last number of seasons, but he'll be missed in terms of veteran leadership, in terms of the locker room. Nelson Aguilar, his inconsistent play, we could take it and leave it, and probably leave it because I'm not sure Aguilar is going to be in the league in a couple years, to be quite honest with you. Timmy Jernigan will be missed a little bit. Vinny Curry, Nigel Bradham, those two are still actually out there as free agents, and I will still also look out for the Eagles to potentially sign them back. So I'm not going to completely count that against you yet, but this is just a lot of names here. I mean, this is a lot of names, a lot of players that have been, key players for the Eagles over the past number of seasons. Too many names here and not enough arrivals. The biggest arrival, though, being nose tackle / defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is a guy that is going to come in and be an absolute wall against the run, and he's also able to rush the passer as well. He's able to be in on passing down, so I love that. Rodney McLeod, okay, this is a decent starting safety in this league. Jatavis Brown, he struggled mightily last season, and Will Parks is only okay. So not nearly enough arrivals for the departures. Now, they did have 3 picks that were significant in terms of the first 3 rounds, 1 in each of the first 3 rounds. In the first round, wide receiver Jaylen Rager. Now, this is a guy that I look at, and it's just one of those wide receivers where I'm not totally sure what to expect. He's about 5'11", 205 pounds. His 40-yard dash was, I want to say, a 4.47. Now, apparently, they've even tracked him at like a 4.3 at TCU. He didn't show that at the combine, so I don't know about that. He has a decent ability to catch the football. I definitely saw that on tape. Athletically, he's going to be, NFL caliber. Will he be consistent enough? I just didn't see enough on tape for me to be sure about that, but I'm certainly intrigued when it comes to Jaylen Rager. Now, right now, you look at the wide receiver core again in Philadelphia. You look at Alshon Jeffrey. Can this guy stay healthy? Can he stay motivated? Because right now it doesn't seem like he's on the same page when it comes to the coaching staff. And Desean Jackson, this guy went down last year. We really expected this guy to be, a huge piece for the offense. It really looked like he was going to be early, but he went down. And now he's getting older in age. So you have to wonder, when will these injuries take a toll on Desean Jackson? And we know speed is a huge part of his game. So that's something that we do have to consider in terms of the wide receiver core. But Jaylen Rager, he's not going to be asked to do too much. But, maybe he's going to be able to step up and have a nice, quiet rookie season like a Deebo Samuel last season, maybe even like an A.J. Brown last season, and really surprise us. I'm looking out for. But how about Jalen Hurts? So what is my opinion? What are my thoughts on Jalen Hurts? Personally, not a fan. Okay, now he's going to do tremendously every time you run him, anytime you run him. Oh, he's going to cause problems. So if you insert him in the lineup and you say we're running, just a full-on college-like offense, we're going to run him. Like what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson, or what Oklahoma did with Jalen Hurts in college, or what Alabama did with Jalen Hurts in college. And look, he can throw the ball too. I'm not saying he's completely incapable of throwing the football. But if you really commit to using his legs, saying we're going to run him at least 10 times a game, 10 to 15 times a game. Oh, he can be very dangerous. Is that sustainable in this league? Not really. So I think this is just a ploy where, okay, if Carson Wentz gets injured, now we're going to implement this Jalen Hurts offense, and we're going to see how far it can take us. And I think it can take it pretty far. Now, would I drafted him second round? No. I think that's too high. But, if push comes to shove, okay, and they have to implement this strategy, it could take you all the way to the Super Bowl and win. Because the guy is a crazy athletic, 4'5", 940 at the quarterback position. That is fantastic. That is top 5%, a 95th percentile. So, he's going to cause all sorts of problems. And you saw that, at Oklahoma. You saw he was a Heisman candidate for a reason. So that's just my one thoughts on that. And then they also got the outside linebacker in the third round. We'll see what he does. I'm not expecting much from any third round pick ever. Okay, that's not a thing that I do. So just not enough arrivals for the departures. Now there is one name that was not listed because he was not a free agent arrival, but that was Darius Slay. So they traded for Darius Slay, and that is a rival that I do look at. Now Darius Slay last year was awful. But he threw the season, right? He didn't care, right? He had no interest in playing for the Detroit Lions last season. He threw the season. So this guy's going to come in, and we can go ahead and move on to the next section now and look at the team analysis and how he factors in. So the strengths for this football team, let's start with that defensive line where, again, we have Javon Hargrave, who's been added to the mix. Brandon Graham continues to be an absolute beast of the defensive line. We hope to see more development from Derek Barnett. Unfortunately, he has not been consistent in that area. He was the Super Bowl hero, but he's not been that absolute pass rushing beast that a lot of us thought he was going to be. A lot of us thought, not me specifically, but a lot of people did think, his lack of athleticism was going to hurt him at this level, and that's kind of what we've seen. But maybe he finally begins to come to his own this year. And then obviously Fletcher Cox is an absolute beast, an absolute stud, the best offensive lineman that they have, and maybe the best offensive lineman in the league, next to Aaron Donald, of course, an interior defensive lineman. So Fletcher Cox, absolute beast there. I mean, you look at the front four, it's a very strong front four. The defensive line is definitely a strength. Tight ends, because not only do you have Zach Ertz, but you also have Dallas Goedert. That is right now probably the best tight end duo in the league. I know a lot of Ravens fans may disagree with that, but that's fine. I have it as the best tight end duo in the league. I love it, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. And then the offensive line. Now, they're currently moving Jason Peters to right guard. How is this going to work out? I'm unsure, but look, he's getting up there in age, and this guy is such an overall beast at the offensive tackle position. I think he'll translate to guard fine and even be pretty good. So I'm buying into that, and then Andre Dillard, we have to see. We just haven't seen enough at this point, but, you still have, Lane Johnson starting at right tackle, who's an absolute stud and beast. You still have Brandon Brooks, and with those two leading the way and Jason Peters still there, I'm sorry, you don't have Brandon Brooks anymore, seriously. But when you still having Jason Peters and Lane Johnson, those are the two that I believe in, and that's an offensive line that I look at and I say, okay, I can believe in this offensive line, and also Justin Casey at the center position. So you look at the weaknesses, though, for this team. You have to look at the linebackers. Not into the linebackers right now. I'm not expecting much of anything from Jatavis Brown. Duke Riley, we haven't seen anything yet for us to say, okay, we need to believe in this guy. Nathan Jerry, no, and TJ Edwards, no. Like, we just haven't seen anything from these linebackers yet, and they weren't, highly touted coming out of college, any of them. So we just don't really know what to expect. And the Jatavis Brown, we just haven't seen enough the past 4 years from him. So linebackers is a weakness for me. Safeties is also a weakness for me. Jalen Mills, I'm over it. We've seen it. I don't know why we continue to re-sign this guy, why they continue to have faith in this guy. I don't know why. Cornerback, safety, it doesn't work with Jalen Mills. I'm over Jalen Mills. No more Jalen Mills, please. And yet he's still out there. Now, I could have easily said cornerbacks, but again, you guys got in Darius Slay, and that's why I list cornerbacks as the X factor for this team, or as one of two X factors, because I expect Darius Slay to return to being a Pro Bowl level corner. But, I've also expected that with Ronald Darby, who the Eagles brought in a couple years ago from the Buffalo Bills. So you just never know with the Eagles whenever they acquire these cornerbacks. Some of them, translate, some of them don't. I don't know why. I think it's a schematic thing, but that's what happens. So I'm looking out for Darius Slay. But they also have Nickel Roby-Coleman there. He's been one of the better slot corners in the league, so that definitely saves the position overall. And then running back. So Miles Sanders. So is this guy going to solidify himself as one of the better running backs in the league? Is he only average? Why didn't he have the rushing touchdowns last season? Was it only because Jordan Howard was there, or is it because he's not really capable of that? We need to see that, so that's why he's also an X factor. So with that said, we look forward now to my 2020 stat projections for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I expect more production from Carson Wentz, but it may not be more efficient. Because Jaylen Rager, I think, is gonna again have some nice plays, some productivity, but also struggle a little bit. So I have him getting about the same completion percentage, 300 more passing yards, 30 touchdowns. So what is that? 3 more passing touchdowns, but also 4 more interceptions. I think it's gonna be because he was a little conservative at the end of the season. Really dumping off to his running back Miles Sanders, throwing a little to Greg Ward a little bit, playing a little safe. Because down the stretch the Eagles were just relying on their defense, relying on the weather, just trying to sneak into the playoffs. Whereas this year, I think we have to do a little bit more in terms of the passing game. So I have him getting a little bit better of a passer rating, but not much. Now, Miles Sanders, I have him breaking 1,100 yards. So this is going to be a good year for him. And, considering the fact there's not much behind him, Corey Clement, he should have a strong season. And then Zach Ertz, I actually expect a little less. I think with Jaylen Rager coming in, with Alshon Jeffrey presumably being healthy, and Desean Jackson certainly being healthier than he was last season, that'll take away from Zach Ertz a little bit. And Dallas Goedert also improving and maybe coming down with more productivity. So how about the Philadelphia Eagles 2020 schedule? How is the schedule looking like for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2020? So they once again find themselves in the NFC East, where they were 5-1 last season. And this is why the Eagles were able to perform last season, right? Because they were able to take advantage of their own division, sweeping the Washington Redskins, now the Washington football team, and sweeping the New York Giants and then splitting with the Dallas Cowboys, including that Week 16 game that ultimately clinched it for them last season. Now, the Redskins are improved, the Giants are improved. Now, I still think you'll be able to sweep one of them. Both of them, no. Which one? I don't know. Okay, we don't go down the schedule and say win-loss, win-loss, win-loss exactly. I just tell you what I feel. I would lean that the Giants would probably beat you guys once. That's what I would lean right now, but it could easily be the Washington football team too. So I'll say one of them splits you. And then I think it's a safe bet. I think we can all agree you guys will probably split the Cowboys. If not, just saying, hey, that's the most likely thing, so that's what we should pencil in. You guys also face the AFC North. Okay, so the AFC North, this upcoming season, you look at this schedule in terms of who you guys travel to, who you guys are going to face. So the Cincinnati Bengals, who the hell is afraid about the Cincinnati Bengals? Now, maybe Joe Burrow is able to come in there and do some things, but when you guys are talking about hosting the Bengals, I'm not particularly afraid of that. Traveling to Pittsburgh, I don't love that. That's going to be a battle. That one could go either way. hosting the Ravens, you guys could upset them. I mean, that is not going to be a surprise to me, considering the fact that you guys did have that strong defensive line. It will cause Lamar Jackson some issues, but at the same time, what are you guys going to do in terms of the linebacker core in order to stop him? I don't really know about that. And then you guys travel to Cleveland. So there are 3 difficult matchups here because you guys travel to Pittsburgh, host the Ravens, travel to Cleveland. And Cleveland's going to be improved, right? They're going to be improved this upcoming season. So that feels 2-2, 1-3-ish. And then you guys go to Green Bay to face the Packers. This is always difficult. Absolutely always difficult. And then hosting the Saints, that is definitely difficult. And then this is what happens when you win your division, right? This is what you get. You get your first place schedule, right? Instead of getting to face the second place teams, you get to face the first place teams and the Saints and the Packers, and this could very well be the difference. That could easily be 0-2 there, but I feel like 1-1 is more likely, or likelier, but it could easily be 0-2 there. So what is my feel? So best case scenario when it comes to this Philadelphia Eagles team. I normally feel strong about the Eagles. Remember last season, I actually had them, I want to say 12-4, and they really disappointed me. I thought they were going to go to the NFC Championship game, just didn't happen. I love the coaching staff. I love the system that they have in place. I love the culture that they have in place. And for that reason, I'll still say best case scenario is 11-5. But, with all of these departures, again, Malcolm Jenkins and Jordan Howard and, all these guys that have been integral for this team, Nigel Bradham, Vinny Curry, Timmy Jernigan, these are integral guys, and just not enough replacements for them. I just feel less confident in this team right now. Worst case scenario, no, I mean, they should still be at least 7-9, because even with Carson Wentz providing you, top 10, honestly, at least borderline top 10 quarterback production, and with Doug Peterson still at the helm, I mean, there's no way it's going to be worse than 7-9. And my prediction right now is 9-7. You will be right in the mix for a wild card. There are now 3. But right now, I'm definitely leaning the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East, and this is what ruined me last year. How can I trust the Dallas Cowboys? But right now, that's how I feel. I think the Eagles took a step back this offseason, and it's unfortunate for Eagles fans. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the 2020 Philadelphia Eagles. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.